Imagine your body, like, suddenly jerking without your permission.
Oh, yeah, just completely out of the blue.
Right. Making this sharp, loud sound that you literally cannot control, and you have absolutely no idea why.
It's unsettling.
Welcome to today's deep dive. I mean, if you're listening to this right now as an adult, a hiccup is, what, a 30-second annoyance?
Barely even that, usually.
Yeah. You grab a glass of water, you hold your breath, and you just move on.
Yeah.
But put yourself in the shoes of a toddler for a second.
Oh, that is a totally different experience.
Exactly. To a young child, a sudden involuntary spasm isn't just annoying. It is a terrifying existential malfunction of their own body.
It's the absolute definition of like a developmental panic moment.
Yeah.
Because when your body starts acting autonomously, the immediate assumption for a kid is just that something is fundamentally broken.
Which brings us to the really fascinating material we're diving into today. Our mission is to explore how complex biology is distilled down for kids.
Right, because you can't just hand a toddler a medical textbook.
No, definitely not. So we obviously got our hands on the internal production notes, the scripts, and even the YouTube metadata for a brand called My Child's Neverending Questions.
It's such a great resource.
It really is. And we're going to look specifically at how they build this blueprint for answering the question, why do we hiccup? But tailored for children at ages 3, 6, and 9.
And, you know, what's remarkable about these documents is that they don't just provide a biological explanation.
No, it's way deeper than that.
Yeah, they offer this absolute masterclass in how to translate incredibly complex physical realities into, well, different stages of cognitive development,
Right.
all while operating under the really strict principles of the gentle parenting philosophy.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we even look at the anatomy, the source material forces the parent to pause and recognize, like, why the child is actually asking the question.
Exactly. The documentation explicitly states that when a kid comes to you panicked about a hiccup, they are rarely looking for an anatomical data dump.
Right, they don't want a science lecture.
No.
Yeah.
They're seeking connection. They want comfort. Because that strange hic sound and the jumping chest, I mean, it's deeply disorienting.
Oh, sure.
The child is fundamentally just asking, am I safe?
Think about the last time you were on a flight, for the listener here, and you hit a patch of severe turbulence. The plane just suddenly drops.
The worst feeling.
Yeah. And if you look at the flight attendant and ask what's happening, you don't need a physics lecture on air pressure and velocity.
No, please no.
Right. You just need a calm professional to look you in the eye and say, this is normal, you are safe, and it will pass.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that analogy perfectly captures the psychological triage happening here.
Triage is a great word for it.
Yeah, because the gentle parenting approach in these sources treats a child's sudden question as an opportunity. You're establishing a baseline of physical safety.
You're teaching them that just because their body does something unexpected, it doesn't mean it's broken.
Exactly. It's about building this foundational trust in their own biology. And you do that using a calm voice and honest but, very measured words.
So how does the manual actually execute that for the youngest demographic, like the 3-year-olds?
Well, when we look at the script tailored for a 3-year-old, the approach to reassurance is striking.
Because it completely strips away the science.
Completely. There are zero medical terms, none.
Yeah, the suggested script tells the child, inside your body is a little muscle that helps you breathe. Sometimes gives a tiny surprise jump, and that makes your mouth say hic all by itself.
Notice the deliberate phrasing there. A tiny surprise jump.
Wait, let me stop you there, actually. I kind of have to challenge this.
Oh, go for it.
If the whole point of this gentle parenting framework is honest communication, isn't omitting the real anatomy a bit of a cop-out?
I can see why you'd think that.
I mean, doesn't hiding the real words like diaphragm or vocal cords, doesn't that actually breed more anxiety because we're being so vague? Are we dumbing this down too much?
It's super tempting to think that. But from a developmental psychology standpoint, giving a toddler a medical vocabulary list is practically guaranteed to backfire.
Really? Just because the words are too big?
Well, a 3-year-old simply lacks the spatial and cognitive framework to process internal anatomy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so if you start talking about hidden organs violently contracting, you are introducing highly abstract, terrifying concepts.
That makes sense. Your organs are contracting. Does sound like a horror movie.
Exactly. The phrase surprise jump isn't a lie. It's just a narrative translation of their exact physical sensation.
Right. They feel a jump in their chest, so you validate it by calling it a jump.
You name the sensation, you validate that it was unexpected, hence, a surprise, but you normalize it as something tiny and manageable.
You're meeting their brain exactly where it is.
Precisely.
That reframes it entirely. You're giving them a narrative that matches their sensory input. And the script for the 3-year-old finishes with this incredible line.
Remind me which one.
It says, it usually stops after a little while, and your body knows what to do. That feels like it's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Oh, it really is. It's removing the burden of a cure from the child's shoulders.
Wow.
You're establishing early on that their body has an autopilot system that they can trust, which is incredibly regulating for a panicked toddler.
But kids grow up.
Yeah.
And, the surprise jump narrative definitely has an expiration date.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you've ever spent time around a 6-year-old, you know they stop accepting magic as an answer.
They really do. They become little engineers.
Yeah, they start looking behind the curtain to see how the machine actually operates.
The shift in curiosity between age 3 and age 6 is massive. A 6-year-old is intensely focused on mechanics.
Right.
They want to understand the levers and pulleys of the physical world, and this is where the source material dictates that real anatomy must enter the chat.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like leveling up in a video game for the kid.
Yeah, you're upgrading their knowledge tree.
The script for the 6-year-old explicitly introduces the diaphragm. It explains the muscle squeezing when it isn't supposed to, and the voice box quickly closing to create that hic sound.
Notice how it does this without talking down to them?
Yeah, it's very straightforward.
Providing the actual term diaphragm at this age grounds the child's spatial awareness. You aren't just giving them a big word to sound smart.
Right.
You're giving them a concrete mechanical concept. By explaining the sequence, the muscle squeeze, the voice box closes, you satisfy their developmental need to understand cause and physical effect.
Which brings up the other major addition to the 6-year-old script, which is external causality.
Right, the triggers.
The manual explicitly tells the parent to explain that eating too fast, laughing a lot, or drinking fizzy drinks can trigger the glitch.
Because a 6-year-old is highly attuned to behavioral consequences.
Sure.
If you leave a hiccup as a random event that just strikes out of nowhere, it remains unpredictable and therefore scary.
You're putting the child back in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
If you can link the glitch to a physical action like, I don't know, drinking soda too fast, it demystifies the whole experience. It makes the body predictable.
Yes, the logic becomes, oh, I drank that carbonated water too quickly, my machinery got confused, and now it's resetting.
Right, you give them the mechanics, but you maintain the safety net.
They understand the environmental input that caused the glitch, but they still have that foundational knowledge that it goes away on its own.
So we have the comfort for the toddler and the mechanical reality for the 6-year-old. But, eventually, knowing how the machine works isn't enough.
No, they always push further.
Right. The 9-year-old reaches the most advanced stage of inquiry. They want to know why the machinery was built this way in the first place.
And this is where the source material takes a turn I really did not see coming.
It's so good. The 9-year-old script is fascinating. It expands the vocabulary even further, using terms like contracting muscles and vocal cords.
But the central pedagogical pivot, the real genius of it, is the admission of scientific uncertainty.
Yes. The script instructs the parent to tell the child, basically, scientists know how hiccups happen, but they actually do not know why.
Think about how radical that is in the context of typical parenting.
So what does this all mean?
Yeah.
Reflecting on it for the listener, we usually go from, I am the parent and I know everything is safe, to suddenly, science actually doesn't have all the answers yet.
It completely flips the script.
It really does. It invites the kid to become the scientist.
What's fascinating here is that it dismantles the illusion of parental omniscience, which is entirely necessary at that age.
Right. Kids need to know. Adults don't know everything.
Exactly. But notice how the source material handles that uncertainty. It doesn't just shrug and say, nobody knows.
No, it actively presents competing scientific theories.
Yes.
The script mentions that some scientists think hiccups might be a leftover evolutionary reflex from long ago.
Like from when our ancestors were amphibians, maybe?
Yeah. While others think they're just a harmless glitch in the human breathing system.
By introducing the concept of evolutionary leftovers, you are taking a tiny, annoying spasm happening in a child's kitchen and connecting it to the ancient timeline of the human species.
That is so profound for a 9-year-old.
It really is. You're shifting their perspective from a purely personal, immediate panic to the broader mystery of our biological history.
It models a comfort with the unknown, too. If the parent can say, even the smartest biologists on Earth are still trying to figure this out, it gives the child permission to not have everything figured out either.
It validates their curiosity without forcing a neat, tidy conclusion.
Right.
Learning that multiple theories can coexist, like the evolutionary reflex versus the harmless glitch, is a vital critical thinking skill.
It teaches them that the human body isn't a closed book. It's an active area of ongoing exploration. It's a beautiful progression, honestly. You start at age 3 with pure comfort, you move to age 6 for mechanical clarity, and by age 9, you're introducing philosophy and scientific debate.
But you know, the text of the scripts is really only half the story.
Right, and this is what I want to dig into next. The source material doesn't just hand over a script. It includes incredibly strict production instructions for the audio delivery of this advice.
Oh, the production manual is intense.
The brand has this comprehensive manual for how these explanations must be recorded for their podcast and YouTube channels.
Which proves that how you say it is just as meticulously engineered as the vocabulary itself.
Exactly. Like if you look at the metadata, they're targeting keywords like #gentle parenting and #child development.
But the internal instructions for the audio production, it's a psychological deep dive into emotional regulation.
Yeah.
The primary directive is to use a warm, calm, and emotionally reassuring parent voice.
And it gets so granular. The instructions demand that the speaker talk slowly and naturally.
And crucially, add gentle pauses after important sentences. Let the information land.
But the directive that genuinely made me stop and reread the page was the strict warning against sounding theatrical, overly sad, or childish.
This raises an important question for the listener. That specific instruction is highly revealing about how adults naturally behave around anxious children.
Yes, it's as if the creators know that our instinct as adults is to put on this massive, goofy performance when a kid is scared.
We absolutely do.
We get so anxious that they are anxious that we try to distract them with baby talk, or we perform this theatrical, exaggerated empathy.
Oh no, your poor little tummy.
Right. The manual is essentially looking the adult in the eye and saying, don't be weird.
Yeah.
Just be calm.
I want you, as the listener, to really consider that dynamic. How often does your own adult anxiety bleed into how you explain the world to a child, or honestly even to a colleague?
Oh, that's a great point.
When someone comes to us in a state of sudden physical or emotional fear, our instinct is usually to polarize.
What do you mean?
Well, we either dismiss it entirely, like, oh, you're fine, shake it off, or we overcompensate with that theatrical sympathy we just talked about.
Right.
Both of those reactions are actually driven by the adult's inability to sit with discomfort. We are trying to regulate ourselves by either minimizing the issue or dramatically performing our empathy.
That is a staggering realization. The guardrails in this production manual aren't just for the kid's benefit. They're engineered to enforce the parent's emotional regulation.
Precisely. The medium is the message here.
Yeah.
The instructions mandate subtle, peaceful background music. They demand an intimate cinematic feel. They even target a highly specific duration of approximately 4 to 7 minutes.
Okay, I have to ask, why that specific time frame? 4 to 7 minutes seems so arbitrary.
Because 4 to 7 minutes is the physiological window required to de-escalate a heightened nervous system without losing a child's cognitive attention.
Oh, wow.
And frankly, it's about as long as an adult can sustain genuine, grounded calmness without slipping into a theatrical performance or getting impatient.
That is wild.
The pacing, the pauses, the warmth, these auditory cues signal safety to the child's amygdala long before their prefrontal cortex even processes the vocabulary words about diaphragms or evolutionary reflexes.
It's literally like wrapping the listener in an auditory-weighted blanket.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And the content rules are just as rigid as the audio ones.
Yep.
The manual states, do not use medical or academic language unless the subject strictly requires it.
Right.
Never shame, frighten, or dismiss the child.
Crucial.
And this was really interesting. Do not present one single family structure, culture, or experience as universal.
It creates a universal baseline of respect. By demanding that the delivery not be childish, the source is insisting that we meet the child's intellect with dignity.
Yeah, you don't need a cartoonish, hyper-animated voice to explain how a breathing muscle works.
You just need clarity and warmth. It's a profound level of respect for the child's emotional state.
It is wild to think that this entire architecture of developmental psychology, audio engineering, and emotional regulation
Yeah.
is deployed simply to answer the question, why do we hiccup?
It highlights a core truth about human connection, I think. There are no small questions.
No.
When a child asks about a hiccup, they're really asking about safety, mechanics, and their place in the natural world.
Let's look a step back for a second and look at the entire map we just traced for you, the listener. We watched an explanation evolve.
A very deliberate evolution.
We started with the toddler, who just needs a narrative to match their sensory experience, the comforting surprise jump that tells them they are safe.
Right.
Then we upgraded to the 6-year-old, introducing the mechanics of the diaphragm and the causality of fizzy drinks to give them a sense of predictability and control.
Letting them steer the ship a little.
Exactly. And finally, we explored the unsolved evolutionary mystery for the 9-year-old, inviting them into the messy, unknown reality of the scientific process.
And holding all of those stages together is the rigid, unyielding framework of calm, gentle, regulated communication.
Yeah.
The core message across all 3 ages remains identical. Your body is an incredibly complex system, and you can trust it, even when it behaves unexpectedly.
Which brings us to the closing sentiment from the source material, which I actually found deeply moving.
It's beautiful.
The script ultimately suggests that every little hic is a reminder that our bodies are busy doing thousands of amazing things automatically
Yeah.
without us ever having to think about it.
Our breathing, our digestion, our heartbeat.
And sometimes those miraculous systems just make a funny little mistake, and that is perfectly normal.
Offering that level of grace to a child fundamentally changes how they view themselves.
It really does. And it leaves me with a thought that I want you, the listener, to carry with you today. We've spent this whole deep dive analyzing how to apply this gentle, forgiving, highly regulated lens to a child's bodily glitch.
Right.
But consider your own daily life. What harmless glitches do you experience as an adult?
Oh, there's so many.
Right. Whether it's biological, like a sudden eye twitch or a stiff neck, or psychological, like a momentary lapse in memory where you just can't find your keys, and it immediately sends you into a spiral of frustration or panic.
We are so quick to assume our own machinery is failing.
We really are. What would happen if you applied this exact gentle parenting approach to yourself? What if you treated your own everyday glitches not as terrifying malfunctions or signs of personal failure, but just as funny, temporary mistakes of an amazing system that is otherwise working perfectly to keep you alive?